All right, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to another N3V live stream. My name is Joe, aka Approach Medium. I'm here to do a little streaming for you guys for the next couple hours. We're gonna do a little bit of route building today on one of my maps, and then we'll do a little bit of operating this afternoon. I figure we'll split it up, do a little bit of both. Make sure all my audio levels are good. I kind of just jumped right into it. Yeah, we all look good. How's everybody doing today? Good. All right, so let's see, for you guys that are watching, let me get myself situated here. We do have some sales going on Steam this afternoon. So if you're looking to get a copy of Trainz 22 or Trainz Plus, they are all on sale right now. Go check it out on Steam. I think it's 80% off right now on Trainz 22. So let me make sure everything's looking good here. Audios look good. All right, looks great. So I am in Trainz Plus, which is Trainz 22, essentially. Let me just check one last thing here. Okay, that looks good. Okay, everything's looking good. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of route building. This is one of my projects here. This is the New York Cross Harbor. If you've been watching my channel at all, you've probably seen a couple of those videos. But I figured this is a good opportunity to show off some of the features that you get with Trainz 22, which is HD terrain, HD texturing, and I think that's kind of that's the bulk of what I'm going to show you in Surveyor here, I think. So this is a project I've been working on for a few months now. This is of the Brooklyn waterfront area here. This is Bush Terminal. I'm not going to go over all of the background of it because you guys can watch it on my channel if you want. But I figured maybe today we can work on some of this yard trackage over here and maybe detailing some of these industry scenes here. So I'm thinking maybe we work on this for an hour and then we'll jump into an operating session for about an hour and we'll see where that gets us. Looks like everything's doing good here. All right, so I just need to really pick a spot to start. I've been working down in this area quite a bit lately. The nice thing about HDT is you can get really nice texturing in really tight areas like this. So you can use two different textures and almost make it, you know, isolated in one spot. And that's mostly because we can texture all the way down to, well, we could actually get smaller than 0.5, but that's the smallest that we can go, if you can believe that. But utilizing the HDT features, I usually kind of texture at about 1 meter and 100% to get this sort of a nice clean edge. Something I really like about this, to be honest. When will Xbox Trainz be released? It's in beta right now, so it's a closed beta at the moment, and then it'll be an open beta in a few weeks, I believe. And then I believe it should be early next year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'll try to answer them as best as I can, the best of my knowledge while we're doing this. Train Simulator 3 upcoming release date, I do not know. I don't have a whole lot of information on TS3. I'm more in the desktop version. All right, so let me bring up Google here so I can see Google Earth, what I need to see. So if you're not familiar, in Trainz, you can use a program called Transdem. What is it, F9 that does this? And you can port in Google data into the game. So what I have here underlying all of the grid is actually Google Earth. I guess you would call it like screenshots or snippets. And all of the terrain data was also ported in as well, so that I don't have to do a whole lot of terraforming. It's just kind of all there already for me. And then I can use the satellite data here as a point of reference. So super handy when you're doing a prototype build like this. So we'll just hide that. And let me just make sure I have all comments on. Yeah, this is the Cross Harbor route. Let's see. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done a stream, so I just have to make sure everything is running smoothly. Okay, so let's try to focus on, this is Davis pipe here. So let's try to do some texturing and some detailing here. I just want to get Google Earth to the right year so I have something to look at. I'm trying to remember here. I think that was 1995. So this was one of the industries that existed in the 1980s called Davis pipe or Davidson pipe. And it was just sort of a pipe dealer type industry. So they would receive loads of pipe on flat cars and center beam cars and gondolas. And I guess they sold it to the local industries, local businesses. So that's what's going on here. The pipe would come from New Jersey on a car float and then come into the yard over here and then get interchanged by the Cross Harbor with the South Brooklyn Railway right in this yard here. And then the South Brooklyn Railway would do the final delivery here. So let's see if we can come up with what this is going to look like. There's not a whole lot of pictures of it, so I'm going to pretty much make this up as I go. So we'll start off with, let's see, I don't want to start with that texture. I have a handful of textures that I really like to use. Probably this one. I don't want it at 100% anymore. What's going on, Tim? How you doing, buddy? So I just want to start texturing just around the dirt road here. So one of the things when you're doing HD texturing is it allows you, like I said, to do really fine texturing detail in a really small radius. But there is a transition, and that transition is at 8 meters, apparently. And it's hard for me to explain exactly what that means, so I'm kind of better off showing it to you. So if I switch this to 15 and I use a different texture, what you'll see is as I get close to the edge here, you see how the softness sort of changes a little bit. It's not going to do it here because I've got two textures that are 15 meters next to each other. But what'll happen is you can end up with some, I'm going to call it pixelation. But you don't have to worry about that if you keep your radius at about 8 meters, which is usually what I like to do. Oop. Peter's having a little trouble streaming the game and running the game at the same time. So we'll do this. The other thing is, like, when I'm texturing with HD, I tend to not rotate the textures as much as we used to. We used to just sort of sit and hold down the rotation button and, you know, spam textures with a tremendous amount of rotation on them. And you don't necessarily need to do that with HD because you have a lot of leeway in the amount of detail that you can get. So I find it a little bit less necessary to do something like that. And let's see, I want to use sort of a cobblestone-y ground texture here. And the way I like to work when I'm doing texturing with HD is start with textures that are going to kind of cover up a lot of area and then work my way into more details. So sort of like if you were doing a painting, you know, starting with, I always say here, broad brush strokes, and then work your way smaller and smaller to get more and more detail in there. You can always go back and touch things up too. But again, as we add different textures and use them a little bit more cleverly with, you know, smaller rotational values and that sort of thing, we can get a lot more work out of each texture. Instead of having to use like a million different textures in one little, you know, cubic area, we can use fewer amount of textures and get a lot more detail out of it. Do I have any tips on how to make Trainz content? What kind of Trainz content? In terms of like 3D models or routes? If you're looking to make 3D models and that sort of thing, you usually want to use Blender, some kind of a 3D modeling program like that. I use Blender. I find it to be the easiest. Some people use 3ds Max, and then I think there's some other ones out there too. There's some tutorials online. I think your best bet, honestly, is to look up Blender Guru. He's got some really great tutorials to kind of like get you started with using Blender. That's kind of how I learned some of the basics. So I would check that out. I think the biggest complication comes when you try to port your content into the game. That's where it gets a little complicated. The modeling itself is one thing, you know, you got to have a certain skill to be able to do that, but it definitely takes on a different life when you try to port it in the game, because the game needs, you know, certain things like LOD or textures to be named a certain way and that sort of thing. And I do believe there's some tutorials on YouTube you can find for that as well. Otherwise, you know, one of the things that I do for my Patreon, for my monthly Patreon, is I use like Turbo Squid or CG Trader, and they have 3D models that are already completed with textures and everything like that. You can buy them. They have some free ones too, so you could always check out a free one if you're just trying to learn. And you can convert those to work in the game. So that might be a good way to sort of learn how to just get it ported in the game in the first place. You know, go on CG Trader, search for their free assets, and see what you like, and kind of use that to port into the game. Even if it's just like a stupid asset, like, you know, Christmas tree or something like that, you know, you can easily do that. So yeah, I mean, in terms of like making rolling stock or anything along those lines, that I'm not familiar with at all. I don't know anything about building rolling stock or, you know, setting things up like that. I do mostly buildings. Like when I said like porting assets in, like this is one of the assets that I ported in. This is a warehouse pack. This is another asset that I ported in. All of these New York City storefronts, these are assets that I bought on CG Trader, opened them up in Blender, and converted them into to work in the game. And like I said, what's nice about them is that they come like this, you know, fully detailed, and you can kind of make some modifications to them if you want. I think some of them I deleted some of the air conditioners out of the windows, and you could do things like that, but they usually come fully textured and everything, and it's pretty easy. Oh, did we freeze? Are we frozen? Let me just check. Restream looks frozen. All right, maybe it was just the Restream page here. Sometimes it's hard to tell. If anything freezes or anything like that, please let me know. Or if you can't hear me, or, you know, whatever. All right, so back to down here. So I'm familiar with this area. I know what it looks like. I don't necessarily need Google to show me, necessarily. Just gonna kind of build it by memory for the most part. Like, I know that there was a fence here. So yeah, like I said, there's some sales going on right now on Steam. I believe Trainz 22 is 80% off, which is a pretty sweet deal. I want to say it's like $8 or something like that. So definitely go check it out if you were considering making the move. That's what I'm using right now. Oh, I put a fence in. I just put it on the other side. Okay. Let me delete this one. Yeah, all right. That makes more sense. Oh, my nose always gets itchy when I stream. All right, so let's work in some like grass and stuff like that. It's not frozen. Okay, good. So again, like just to sort of show off what you can do with some of the HD texturing is these cobblestone bricks here are textures. And in order to get this look, I dropped the brush size down to like 1/2 meter. So I could pretty much paint in like one brick at a time if I want. And that gives this sort of, you know, this look where the cobblestone was paved over and it's kind of starting to come up a little bit. This is an asset here, but it's super handy to get, you know, a lot of detail. You know, we weren't able to do this sort of stuff ever. You had to kind of fake it, you know, with decals or whatever else. Excuse me. This always happens. My computer starts giving off like, it's like a furnace over here. And then my nose dries out. And then it gets just dry and awful and makes for a miserable streaming experience, so I apologize. So let's see. I was using some grasses. Just throw some grass under here. And there's usually a whole bunch of garbage and stuff underneath here as well. Another nice thing with Surveyor 2 is that I could just take this whole spline and just move it back a little bit. You know, instead of having to go from each end and jimmy it down, we just do it all at once. And we'll do another like strip of that over here. This might be a little bit too big of a shrub for this spot. 7 meters, and then like the 2-meter ones are too small. I've got some good ones that I was using up here. Let's try this one. That's 8 meters. I think I just sunk that one into the ground a bit. Let's try this one. So I tend to use a lot of the same scenery assets over and over again. And for me, that just keeps the look of everything kind of uniform, for one. And then for two, it's really helpful with what I'll call asset bloat. So, you know, you don't end up with a dependency list that is like the P&B where it's just, you know, 10,000 assets long. Kind of keep it under control a little bit more. All right, this looks exactly... I used to walk through this area very frequently. This looks pretty familiar. So now if that grass, or, you know, whatever, that texture underneath is looking a little bit too, you know, samey, you know, if it's... you need to break it up somehow, we can do this. I can grab one of these other textures that I've been using. We'll use this one. And we can do like 3 meters. Actually, this is a tight area. We could do maybe 2 meters. And sometimes what I'll do, you could even turn the sensitivity down a little bit lower. And we can kind of just spray a little bit of grass in there. Yeah, I might even go a little bit lower. Let's go down to 10%. That way it gets a little, just a little bit of a tint to it. Can kind of do that on this side a little bit, although this area is very sandy and rugged. It's right on the waterfront, you know. Guys in the chat, pretty quiet, unless I'm not seeing the whole chat. Does anybody have questions about anything or want to see anything specific? I'm here to engage. What am I looking for? I'm looking for... this texture, I think. Yeah, there we go. So we can kind of now just blend very lightly some of these other textures together. And these work really well because they're all by the same person. So they all have the same color and contrast tones and stuff like that. So it's easy to really blend them together nicely. Yeah, I like that a lot. Looks good. All right, maybe we need another little shrubby over here. What about... put this guy here. Do we have a slightly bigger one? Yeah, thanks, Tim. We could maybe put a couple shrubs. I mean, a lot of it is just artistic decisions. You know, you can look at Google all you want, but, you know, it's only going to take you so far, in my opinion. You know, you can look right at Google and copy it and pictures and stuff like that, which I do, you know, all the time too. But there is a certain element of, you know, you gotta make some decisions, some creative choices yourself. Especially like for something like this, like I'm modeling the 1980s, 1990s. Google Street View and Google, you know, satellite view aren't gonna give me the exact details of what this all looked like back then. I have to make some of those decisions myself. All right, so let's maybe... let me get this texture again. PBR City. Dirt, this one. And, you know, I kind of will start thinking about where else might there be some grass. Maybe just starting to grow a little bit, like over here. Maybe over here. Might even get a little bit in here. So like doing stuff like this, where I've got the intensity or the sensitivity down to 10%, it almost feels like it takes the place of like doing all those rotations, you know, like where we were just sitting there rotating textures to get some variety. Like now I'm literally merging these two textures together, you know, and as long as they're both, if you're using PBR textures, as long as they're both PBR textures, they mesh up pretty good. Like I don't see any weird PBR like overlapping. They kind of come together pretty good. I kind of want this track to look a little bit more out of service. So what I'm going to do is maybe bury it a little bit. Which was the one I was looking for before this one? I like this texture because it's got like some debris in it, like garbage. And that's absolutely perfect for a New York, downtown New York scene. All right, so I think my height is 5 meters, so we'll do 5.2. Oops, and I gotta set it to set height. And I need this to stay put. So when you're doing terrain work too, I find the sensitivity, like if you're trying to bring something up, if you're trying to fine tune it, like keep the sensitivity pretty low, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You'll have a little bit more control over what's going on. What am I working on? This is one of my projects. This is the New York Cross Harbor. This is basically the Bush Terminal area. Well, it was Bush Terminal in Brooklyn, New York. This area is also known as Sunset Park neighborhood of Brooklyn. So in present day, the spot that I'm working on, there's a Costco in this location, but I'm modeling in like the 1980s, 1990s. In general, how do you personally use layers in Surveyor 2? For me, let's hide the effects layers. This one, I don't really have a whole lot of layers. Typically what I end up using them for is, let's say I want to, let me find a good example. Let's say I want to like detail, let's say I want to detail this ramp or this loading dock here. Okay, so if I take like, you know, I want to put some boxes on here. So I can kind of easily get it in place. All right, but once I click off of it, now if I want to edit it, I can't easily click on that crate because the hitbox for the loading dock is bigger than the crate, right? So I can't get that crate anymore, but I want to move the crate. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take this and maybe I'll create a layer called details, or I'll say locked, actually. So I'll create a layer called locked, and now I'm going to put this loading dock onto that layer. How do I do that? It's over here now. I'll put it on that layer, and then I'm going to make sure that it's locked. And now what I can do is I can hide it. Oops. And now I can grab the crate. I can unhide it. And now I can move that crate around. So I think that they're working on a way to, like right now I could, even though this is on a locked layer, I could still click it. I think they're working on a way that like if you lock a layer, you also can't select it, you know? Like it would be nice to be able to just click that crate. But what I can do is just hide that and then bring that back. So then I can adjust the crate how I want. And then if I want to duplicate it, I have to be on the right layer. Now I can kind of add some variety here. And there we go. So that's how I use layers, and then I'll just leave this on the locked layer. I don't necessarily need to move it back off of that. So hopefully that answers that. What's going on, Odin? How are you, man? The ability to merge layers. Yeah, you know what? I haven't had to do that yet. Yeah, you might need to like go back to classic to merge layer up. But can you can rearrange these, right? Can you? Oh, what did I do? This is not something that I've done before. I don't know what I did there. I'm gonna undo it. Yeah, you're right. I didn't, it's so rare that I merge layers back together. So yeah, I didn't even realize that you couldn't do that. Yeah, I guess it's not something I do frequently. If I need to do that, yeah, I'll go back to Surveyor Classic, or if I need to move something to a session layer, then usually I can just click it like this, and you can just switch that to a session layer, which I've had to do. So you can do it that way. The only problem with using layers sometimes is now I created this hidden layer or this locked layer, and it's got me sort of defaulted to that. So you have to remember to go back to your base layer. Otherwise, you're going to just keep putting stuff on, you know, whatever your locked or your hidden layer there. One of the other things that I haven't really made a whole lot of use of yet, and I just like really mean yet, is the color effects layer. I've used it, but I haven't really like made use of it, I guess, let's say. So if you're not familiar with it, you create a new effects layer, call it whatever you want. I just call it shadows. You can only create one of these layers. And let's say I want to make this all a little bit darker. Let's put this to 50% just so we can see it. So now I can kind of just color this in. Or if I wanted to make it orange for some reason, it just adds a tint. So that's kind of nice. Like, I guess a good example, a better example, well, I guess a good example here is if you liked this texture and you wanted to like model it as coal, you know, you could kind of get away with that. You know, you could do that. Or the way that I've used it, not on here, but on other routes, is let's say you've got a grassy area that you want to be a little bit more rich in its color. Let's find like a nice green. You might have to play with it a little bit, but yeah, if you want to enrich it a little bit, you can do that. I think if we turn down the intensity, let's turn it down to 10. We can kind of create some of these little pockets of stuff like that. Or you could also make it look a little more dead and dry, add some shadow detail. It just allows you to add shadows and highlights and that sort of thing. I haven't really made a whole lot of use of that yet, to be perfectly honest, but it's only because I haven't needed to. I did use it on, I did the update for Coal Country, which I think is in Trainz Plus right now, the HD update. And I did use that to create some variety in the coal textures on the ground. Hey, how's it going, Dennis? How you been? So yeah, I figured we'll do maybe another 30 minutes of this, and then we'll jump on to the P&B and do a little bit of operating. You know, this is a little bit of a promo stream to promote the sales that are going on Steam. So I just want to show off, you know, the capabilities of the game, both in Surveyor and in Driver, although my abilities as Driver are pretty flawed. So that'll be nothing more than entertainment purely. Let's see, what was I going to do here? Let's see, I was working on this part of the track, right? So let's see, let's go back down, and I really love personally that you can do less than 5 meter texturing and height. Let's see, set height, sensitivity, 10%, yeah. So it really gives you a lot of control when it comes to doing, you know, things like this that I like to do, where, you know, you want to bring in just a little bit of dirt in between your ballast. I've heard of some people even doing this. I have not done this yet, but you can take your track, let's say, and instead of using track that has ballast under it, I've seen, or at least I've heard of people just using this track here. Let's make sure this is on the ground. You know, this track has no ballast texture under it. It's just the track, right? So you take this, and let's not do this here, actually. Let's do it over here. And again, this isn't something that I've done yet, necessarily. You take your track that has no ballast, and then you find whatever ballast texture you want to use. Let's say we like this, so we want to use this as our ballast. You can set this to whatever, we'll say 3 meters. I think I usually do 4 meters when I do this. And we can use this paint under. And now we have our own ballast line. In fact, that looks a little wide. So we can do, let's try 2 meters. That might be a little bit too narrow, but you get the idea. You could even do this where you want to add a little bit of a subgrade or sub-road bed, right? We can raise this up. We can do smooth under. And it did smooth under it. I still think that this does 5 meters across, so maybe that's not the best way to do that. But if you want to do a really wide subgrade, it looks like you can do that. But that's how I would use this, is probably to do your ballast line like that. I think I showed off in some previous streams that I'll do something like this, where I'll do a 6 meter wide line for like the sub ballasts, let's say, and then I'll do a 4 meter on top of that. And you get, you know, pretty nice look there. So it all depends on what you're going for. We could probably do 3 meters on that. Let's see what that looks like. 3. Oh, I did the wrong texture. Ah, let's try it again. I keep clicking the wrong thing. What is it? Oh, you gotta have the texture selected, don't you? But it keeps deselecting it on me. Why are you deselecting? Why is it doing that? Okay, 3 meters paint. So yeah, that looks even better, actually. A little bit more of a tight ballast line. So I haven't necessarily messed around with that to the point where I've used it, but I have heard of other people doing it. Doing their ballast and their texture work and stuff like that way. So that's always an option. Things to think about in the future, you know? What's going on, Willies? I think so for the Coal Country update, it's only HD. It's not Scratchy's 2.0 update. I think it just got pushed to... I don't know if it's in Trainz Plus beta or not yet. If not, it's coming very soon. I think maybe in the next update, which I think might be this week. I know they're trying to push the update, the last big update for 2024 before they go on break, which is this upcoming Friday. So, all right, let me just close that. Always got to have a nice blend of grass and shrubs and stuff like that. I think it might be, I don't know if it's going to be like automatically included. It might be one of those things that you have through the preview pass. You know, you might have to download it separately. All right, what else we got here? I had a couple more little shrubberies around here. So lately, like when I'm doing texturing, I tend to work like at 8 meters and then 4 meters and then less than 4 meters. For some reason, like I'm not saying that you have to do it that way, but that's for whatever reason what's been working really well for me in terms of texturing certain areas. I don't know why, but 8 meters is like just big enough, and then it also avoids having any of those texture conflicts. And then when you go to 4 meters, it's just, I don't know, seems to be just the right size for a good amount of detailing. One of the other cool things that you can do with the HD texture tool in terms of like small size detailing is something like this, where I've got this set of tracks that's going through this parking lot here, and it's out of service. It's not connected to anything. So I wanted it to be a little overgrown, show that there's some grass and stuff coming up through it, some dirt and stuff like that. And I think I did this with like a 0.5 meter brush. So the amount of detailing that you can do is pretty awesome. So definitely worth playing around with. Yeah, I did it there, and I did it right along the sidewalk here. Some of the other stuff you can do, I demonstrated it in the HCT video that I did for N3V. If you want to like make a drainage ditch, really good for drainage ditches. I haven't needed to do any of those yet, but that's definitely a good option. All right, what else can we add around here? Sometimes I just gotta kind of stare at whatever it is that I'm working on, and I don't know, let it tell me what I need to do, what it's missing. I mean, this is pretty simple, but it's looking pretty good. We could add some other texture variety in here. Maybe like underneath the pipes here. You know, just subtle little things here. Make it a little bit more interesting. Not just like blocks of the same textures everywhere. And I think maybe what we could do is add a little spline grass here. I really like this JVC trackside spline mix. It's just so nice. It's got 5 different versions of it. Really good mix of stuff. So I like that. That's cool. Could even take a little of this and kind of add, you know, where the trucks have gone. Maybe we turn up the sensitivity a little bit. Just like little subtle things like that, you know, could make a big difference visually. It's looking pretty good. We could probably add maybe a little bit more grass. Some more of these around like the fence line, I would imagine. I usually try to avoid doing like a whole length, like a huge stretch of it, because you're gonna have some areas where it grows and some areas where it doesn't. Maybe there's a little patch down here. Looks cool. Cool, let me save quick. All right, what else can we do here? All right, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, unless you guys have some suggestions or something, I'll probably come back and add more details and stuff like that. But under here, I would probably put a bunch of trash and garbage, so I already have some. So we could just grab some of this stuff. And if you, when you highlight a bunch of things like that, if you hold down Control and when you grab it, it makes a copy, which is really awesome. And then I could just kind of take this and move it wherever I want. You could even do, one of the new things that I just discovered recently is you can reset object rotation or randomize object rotation. And I've been making a lot of use of that, I'll tell you, because, you know, I have randomized objects enabled, you know, when I place down scenery and stuff like that. But if sometimes you just, when you're copying something, like let's say I copied all these cars, and I don't want them all to have that same look or whatever, I could just randomize their direction. I could do it again. Now I can kind of grab them, move them in a different way, different configuration, and now, you know, I'm working with the same set of assets, but now it looks completely different. And maybe it saves me a little bit of time from having to like make something random, you know, or if I want to just reset it, you know, I could just go ahead and reset it all. Now they're all in their default rotations. Great. Maybe I want them lined up. There we go. You know, stuff like that. I like that. I mean, it really comes in handy for something like that. Or I guess if you're doing a lot of, you know, scenery work, like over here, you know, if you want to start, if it starts looking like a little bit too much of a pattern, you can just highlight a bunch of this stuff and randomize it if you want. So super cool, super handy. Add a little random chaos to your, you know, to your builds. It's always helpful. Okay, let me go back to Google Earth here and take a look. Maybe there's a little bit of something else we can do with HD. Because we could do a little bit more detailing on this roadway here. Yeah, I guess let's do that for a minute. Just grab the brick pavement, and I think I did this in 0.75, maybe 0.5. And I keep the sensitivity at 100% for something like this, so you don't get any of that feathered edge, which I think looks best for something along these lines. I might even go smaller, maybe 0.4. You know, at this point, I could pretty much just paint individual bricks in if I want. Usually what I've been doing is just trying to add some randomness to it, clicking around, dragging randomly. This is sort of what it looks like. You know, the snow plows go through here every couple of years when it snows in New York, and they tear up the road. And there's a lot of truck traffic through here that just is just way too heavy for these cobblestones and the pavement, so it just takes its toll really quick. I did learn something recently, that this road right here, I believe this is 41st, 39th, 40th, 41st. Yeah, this is 41st. This just got paved over. They paved over all the tracks that were here. And this is no more. Up until about 2 months ago, you could still go to this location and pretty much see exactly this, but now it's just been totally paved over. Just sad face. So, but we've got it preserved here, so that's all that matters. So now what I'm running into here is that I've got these bricks rotated one way and the ones that I'm using here rotated another way. I don't really want these to commingle with each other, because then I am going to get some texture, you know, tearing and stuff like that. So I'll just try to keep these rotated the same way. And I don't know where the transition would happen, but I'll hide it. I'll probably try to hide it with some decals. So I'll tell you, I always tell this story. Not always, but I've been telling this story when I am working on this area. I used to park for work one of our trucks in a parking lot over here. So I used to drive through this intersection all the time and down this road. And the truck, it was what was that? A 24-foot box truck in a Isuzu. No, it was was it a Hino? I can't remember what it was. The small one was an Isuzu. I think the big one were Hinos. But anyway, you'd cross over these tracks, and the road was just so bad. And the truck had like one of those air cushion chairs in the driver's seat, and you'd just be like bouncing around like you're on a waterbed. But it was not great to drive through here, I can tell you that much. So let's just do this. We're gonna, is this what I have? Yeah, okay. I need to replace this. So this crosswalk here is Epcot Station crosswalk, which works. It's not bad. It doesn't really do too well on grades, and it does float a little bit on the PBR textures. So what I've been doing is just deleting that, and I made my own crosswalk using Felix's, where's one I could grab? I think I did his stop lines. Yeah, JRRM stop line 24. So just grab, I want to grab one that's the right orientation. So again, using the copy tool, I'm just going to take the work that I've already done and I'm going to copy it. Copying my own work. How about that? And then I can just drag it down here and move it to where I want it to be. And I might have to do like settle on the ground. Where is it? Settle on ground. Sometimes if you're moving up or down grade, it needs to like be resettled. But that's how I did that. Much easier to do something like that, in my opinion, than having to like sit here and relay that every single time. All right, what else we got? There was no crosswalk in real life here, or at least it was kind of paved over. So what we could do is we could use some of these decals. These are street damage decals by the Fway or the Few. Let me bring them up here. These are on the download station. The FUE. So I don't know how you say that. The Fway, the Few. I don't know. Whatever. Don't ever rely on me to say names correctly because I will get it wrong 100% of the time. So we'll just find some of these that look good. I really use this one and this one the most. And again, I kind of just allow it to, unless I need it in a certain orientation, I'll just plop it down and work with it in whatever random orientation it's in. And that works out pretty good. And these, on PBR textures, you might have to drop them down a little bit because they do float. But you still get a bit of an effect. That might be a little bit too far down. Sometimes it's just a matter of like a tenth. Oh, that's rotation. Z scale, we'll do 2, 0. Nope. 2, 4. Yeah. So yeah, like 1/10 was okay, but now we're floating over here. So I mean, this is just sort of a problem with this particular route because I had to raise up the pavement to match the railhead. But you know, you just figure out how to work with it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to copy this and just drag it right down. This whole junction here was a real mess when I used to have to work over this area. And I'm talking, this was over 10 years ago. This would have been in like 2010 that I was working down in this area. This junction was still here. I don't believe it's here anymore. This track is still present. This is part of the South Brooklyn Railway. But I think all of this is gone. But this is called Bush Junction. And it was, I guess, rebuilt so many times because there was so many derailments here because you could see the curves are really tight. It's in the pavement and stuff like that. So the road itself was never really fully paved up properly. But anyway, this was also a mess. But I don't want to spend too much time on that right now. What do you guys want to switch over to driver and we'll just drive some trains on the P&B for an hour? Or do you want to keep on going with this? I'm definitely going to go to driver at some point. So we can do it now, or we can keep working on this for a little bit longer. It's up to you guys in the chat. Let me see what's going on, make sure I'm not missing out on anything. Looks pretty quiet in the chat. Okay, looks like everything's still running nice and smooth, which is always a good sign. Last thing you want to be doing is streaming and nobody's seeing it or nobody's hearing you or anything like that. All right, looks good. Minimize that. Is there a train list spreadsheet for the P&B? Yes, there is. If you DM me on Discord or Facebook, if you're not on Discord, you can DM me on Facebook. I can, I'll send it to you because I don't have it on my website just yet. I don't think that I could share it here. So yeah, send me a DM later on Facebook or Discord or Instagram or whatever. I can send it to you through there. Dealer's choice. All right, well, I'm going to, let's do some P&B. Let me save this. I don't need to save a session. And I might need to open my window in here because it is getting super hot, even though it's super cold outside. Let's see, where are we? All right, let me open a window and lower my desk because I'm standing right now and I want to sit down. So let me step away for one moment. Okay. All right, what am I looking at here? All right, so we're back here on the P&B. I'm just gonna kind of pick things up where I left off. Let me make sure the sound is on for you guys. If the game sound is too loud, let me know. If it's too soft, let me know. I don't think I don't even know if it's streaming the sound, to be honest with you. Trainz 22 audio. Let me get onto something and blow the horn and see. Let's do drive session. Oh, what's going on over here? Is that invisible train? Why? I don't know what that is. I did have a train up here I've been working. It's a local. We need to bring this back to the yard. So let's see. Game audio, let me blow the horn. I can't hear any of it because I'm listening to music through my iPhone, so you guys tell me if it's too loud. The D&H Alco, let me look. Let me go back over there. I think it's from Trainz Forge. Let me go back into Surveyor. Let's see, it is by Train Boy 1. So I think that that's from Trainz Forge. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, it's an RS-36. Yeah, it's definitely from Trainz Forge. If not, maybe somebody skinned it for me and sent it to me. I could be wrong, but sometimes I acquire content and I don't really necessarily know where it came from. All right, back to drive. Sound is fine. Okay. Let me adjust my camera here because it feels like there's a lot of headspace there. Okay, looks a little bit better. All right, so let me see if I remember what I was doing here. I dropped off a cut of cars for the paper mill, and I think this needs to go back to Allegheny. This was a turn. So let's run that back. We're gonna have to run around our train here. Not even sure if these two GP7, it's a GP7 and a GP9 is gonna have enough power to get this thing moving. All right, let me close out Google Earth. I don't need that anymore. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have to go... We're not going to have enough room on the tail track here. So we're going to pull out on the main line. We have to run around this to get it back to Allegheny, so we'll do that. And I'm trying to think if there's some switching or something that we could do. I don't know what you guys are interested in seeing. I personally like doing switching more than, like, mainline operation. We could always come back to the paper mill here and switch out these cars. So that's an option. I could also see what's going on in the yard or at any of the other yards. And we can see what kind of work needs to get done. Yeah, this is a pretty long train to get out of here. So I think the one problem with this train is that I never really figured out, like, when does this get switched? Would this train actually be going all the way up to Grafton to get, you know, and then drop off cars here and then continue up to Grafton, or does it actually turn and go back to Allegheny? So I'm going to operate it right now as a turn, and it already doesn't feel right because I'm going to have to pull out onto the main, shove back a little bit onto here, and in order to, like, run around it and then go back down. So I don't know. When I built the paper mill here, I made it way larger than it ever was. So, you know, it was tough to really decide. You can't think of everything, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about all the cool stuff that we could switch and how to, you know, make it an interesting industry to switch out and operate and stuff like that. I wasn't really thinking of, like, oh, how is this actually gonna function? I hope the gates go down. They should. We fixed TRC. Still got a long way to go. There we go. This is what I like about TRC crossings, man. They know how fast you're going, and they'll time out so that the gates are closed all the way by the time you get to them. I almost feel like I should just take this all the way up to Grafton, even though it's pretty far away. And yeah, I'm gonna just take this all the way to Grafton. There's no way that this doesn't make sense to operate as a turn. This train is way too long, and then what I'm gonna do is have to, like, shove back. I guess we'll just keep it going east. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, we'll do it for this stream. Keep it going. I love this part of the route, though, going through these farmlands. One of my favorites. Yeah, we got to make sure to just close up our turnouts here. Where will be Trainz Living Railroad Dispatch Manager? Oh, when will it be released? I think the Dispatch Manager is coming out in the next release, which I believe is going to be this week. So you should see that pretty shortly. Ah, that looks so nice. Yeah, Dispatch Manager should be in the next Trainz Plus release, and that is coming up before the holiday break, so you'll see that before the end of the year. I can't wait to convert this route to HD. Get some of these, clean up some of this texture bleed and make it a little bit nicer. Oh, I didn't realize that some of this texture bled on this side too. Huh. I don't know when that happened. I never noticed that. Probably should make sure that there's nothing ahead of us here. Where am I? Which way am I headed? Headed this way. Yeah, we should be clear. I could always, stop it on the siding up here, which maybe that's what I'll do, and we'll take another train out for a spin. In my opinion, which version of Trainz is the best? The current version, to be honest. I was one of those people before I worked for N3V, before I worked for this company, I definitely was hesitant to jump from Trainz 19 to Trainz 22, I'll be honest. But when I finally did make the jump and I started using Surveyor 2 and the HD terrain and, seeing all the new features and stuff like that, like, it's literally been a game changer. So Trainz 22, Trainz Plus, definitely is the way to go. The environment looks much better. The game performance is much better. I mean, like I said, I can't talk enough good things about Surveyor 2, and HD terrain and stuff. Like, for me as a route builder, it's been literally a game changer. So I really think the latest version is the best. And it's only going to get better because now we've got Trainz Living Railroad on the way, which is really going to be cool to bring our routes to life, with automated switching and activities like that. So that's going to be a great addition. The new plant factory trees and shrubs and stuff, I haven't really seen a whole lot of those, but I think that that's going to look really good. The imposter system that should be coming out pretty soon too, that replaces some of the lower detail, or the lowest detail. It creates LOD essentially for assets that don't have LOD. That's really going to help with a lot of performance. Trying to think of what else I've heard, and don't quote me on this, I've heard rumblings about point lighting sometime in the future. Maybe in the distant future, I don't know. I've heard that they need to get DirectX 12, fully functional for that to actually work. But I have heard some rumblings about that possibly in the future, and I think that would be a major game changer right there, is if we had point lighting. So I'm holding out for that. But that's my honest opinion. That's not just me, trying to tell you, oh no, we're taking this siding apparently. This is what I get for not paying attention. Oh, this sort of thing always happens to me. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the latest version of the game is definitely so far been amazing. What's going to happen to the Port LA route? You know, I don't know. It's one of those projects that I started on and I was having fun for a little while with it, and then I just really got burned out because it was so much. Maybe I'll revisit it eventually, but I don't know. It's kind of just in suspended animation right now. It is a cool route. I mean, I'll give it to you there. Like, it's definitely a really neat route. But I don't know if it's something that I'll ever be able to finish necessarily. I would like to. I mean, I think it's definitely a really cool prototype to model, but I don't know, some really like dense stuff it can be really challenging. But maybe I haven't tried to work on it with Surveyor 2 yet, you know, with the copy and paste tool and all that sort of thing. So I might have a better experience with that. You know, I was working on it in Tane and Trainz 2019, so you know, you're kind of limited with your ability to do like really repetitive tasks. Are there any plans to make a modern route? I was working, you know, on the CSX Rochester division for a little while. But again, that was another prototype that was just way too dense. I really would like to do something modern. I haven't really decided what that would be. I really don't know. I mean, as far as like modern stuff goes, I think CSX. I like CSX. That's what I see, I guess. You know, I live like on the CSX territory, and you know, so I guess I'm kind of tickled by that. But I don't really know what prototype would be interesting. The problem with modern railroading, in my opinion, is that it's kind of like all bridge traffic. You know what I mean? It's all these big unit trains that just go from one yard to another yard to a port to a yard to a port in these giant, you know, unit consists, and that's not very interesting for me. I like, you know, trains that look like this, that are just a mix of, you know, tanks and boxcars and hoppers and, you know, you name it. You know, it's just got a little bit of everything, and you don't really see a whole lot of that in modern day. And there's not a whole lot of switching in modern, you know, railroading. It's all bulk commodities, and I don't really love that. So I don't know. I'd have to find the right prototype. I'm not sure. But yeah, I would like to do something modern. Maybe even if it's just like 2000s, you know, early 2000s, when there was still a little bit more switching than there is now. But I don't know. My problem is that I don't really get out much to like, I don't go rail fanning. I don't do any of that sort of stuff. So I don't really even see what's out there. You know, a lot of the stuff that I model in game is just from, you know, something that inspired me at some point. And, you know, I've got books on it, like the Cross Harbor, you know, I'm modeling that in N scale. And that, I was inspired by that because I used to live and work right there, you know? So that's what sort of tickled that. B&B is obviously all fictional, so that you can kind of just do whatever you want with. The DBEV, that was you know, inspired by my hometown abandoned branch line. So, you know, I take a lot of inspiration from real life stuff. Hey, Jessica Kasumi, how's it going? Going good here. Doing well. I don't know why we have a yellow signal here. I don't know. Approach restricting. Probably left a switch open. In the future, maybe in the next couple of years, I would like to get the P&B into, yeah, I left that open, into multiplayer. Let's actually put it, let's put this train on this siding. And we'll leave him there, and we'll take another train. I would like to get this route into multiplayer, because it's really made for, you know, big operations with a lot of people. So Once I get it upgraded to HDT and get it modified the way that I want, I'm going to talk to Paul and see if there's a way we can get this maybe even built into the game. I don't know. What about a remake of a classic route such as the fictional CC and LE? What is CC and LE? I'm not sure if I know which one that was. Yeah, I know a lot of people have difficulty staying focused on a route long enough to ever complete it. It's not easy, you know? Sometimes you like work on an area and you kind of do the thing that you wanted to do. And then when you're done with that part of it, you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to move on to something else. No, there's nothing to see here. There's definitely not a hovering crop duster up there. It's a static display model. Oh, Catagaris Creek and Lake Erie. I think somebody else is working on that. Wasn't there somebody at RR Mods updating that? I think somebody was updating the... because those are G. Fisher routes. I think somebody was working on actually updating those. Oh, we got some cars here we could switch out at some point. Hey man, like I said, working on a route long term, it takes a lot. I left the bell on. Sorry. For me, because I get to a point where, like, I have an audience, right? I've got my YouTube channel, I've got Patreon, I've got Discord, you know. So for me, like, keeping it up to date is like I've got people sort of like expecting stuff, and that sort of helps me stay motivated. You have to figure out what keeps you motivated to like finish it, you know. And then also the way I am, like, I don't like having something unfinished. So, you know, the closer I get to something being done, the more I'm like, all right, I absolutely have to finish this, because if I don't, then I'm really going to be upset. So it's like getting to a point where you get over that hump and you're like, okay, now I'm actually on the way to completing this build. Like for me, I'm like, okay, it's like the home stretch. You can't give up now. You gotta push through, keep going. I mean, originally that's why I started my YouTube channel, was to finish this route, was because I knew if I didn't have people, you know, waiting for it or cheering me on, you know, I would fall into the same trap. I'd just be like, oh, it'll just get done when it gets done. Like, what's the rush? What's the big deal? But when I started my YouTube channel in 2016, that was part of my thought process, was like, okay, I want this to have, you know, some degree of, what's the word? Oh, I can't think of what the word is. I don't know, like people just sort of helping me stay focused sort of thing, you know? Well, that's the other thing, I think, is that people try to take on these massive route builds, and they think that they're going to model, like you said, the entire BNSF Southern Transcon, or like an entire region or something like that. You're never going to do that. This map is 45 miles long. It took me over a decade to really fully get it done. You know what I mean? You're never going to model hundreds of miles of track, and I think the sooner people realize that, you know, I think you would get more quality routes from people if from you know, route builders, if people sort of did something that was actually finishable, you know. But that said, multiplayer surveyor is going to be allow routes to be exported pretty soon. I don't know when they're going to be doing that. There's a train outside of my window and the window's open, so you can probably hear it. But with multiplayer surveyor, and then the ability to export, means that, you know, more people can collaborate on one route and actually get it done in probably, hopefully, much faster period of time, rather than, you know, having to pass the route back and forth between people like we do now. Like me and Willie's 44 Willies are always passing this back and forth. All right, so we're gonna, I'm hoping that this will fit on this siding. It should. We're gonna park this on this siding, and then we'll see if there's something else to switch out somewhere else on the route. Yeah, you guys could probably hear the E-bell outside my window. NJT, he's pulling out of the station, so it's gonna get super loud real quick. Although he's going pretty slow, so he might not be too loud. Yeah, see, all of this is going to look so much better when I convert this route to HD. Ugh. It's just going to take so long to redo it all. It's alright. It'll be worth it. Oh yeah, this is a long siding. I forgot how long the siding was. Probably could just tell the AI to stop up here, right? What is the mini-map? Where are we? Map options, markers. 150. Oh, well, if I switch it, yeah, it's gonna, I'll just drive it to the end. I was gonna say, if I switch it to AI, he's gonna stop the train first and then start it up again. How often are those ferry moves I post about? What do you mean? Ferry moves I post about. On the New Jersey coastline. The ferry moves. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. The ferry moves on the New Jersey coastline. The equipment moves that I get sometimes with the diesel? What's going on, Chris? Doing good here. Alright, this is probably a good spot to stop. Yeah, yeah, those NJT equipment moves, that's MM8. I think they run just about every day. It's just usually not during the daytime. Usually I see them go by between 10 and 11 o'clock at night. So it's rare to see them go by during the day. The only time that I do see them go by during the day is usually on like a Sunday. And I think lately that's when they kind of need, he'll like run up from Bayhead, I think, or from Long Branch and go up to the Meadowlands maintenance and then come back down and then do another run back up. But usually it's not always a diesel. Sometimes it's just like one of those just electric cab cars and like a couple of passenger cars. It's rare. Not that it's rare, but it's not super often that I see, you know, like a monster maintenance train go by or something like that. We used to get the SA-31 freight train through here, but he's been gone for a year now, which stinks. I really miss seeing SA-31. All right, up here, I don't know if there's anything to switch up here right now. What is in the yard? Let me turn the commodities on. Okay, so we could grab... It's another train. Yeah, we could switch out some of these cars. They can go up to the port. Trying to think. This train also could go down to Highland, I think. Maybe let's do a run down to Highland. I don't do that often. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, you're not going to see Amtrak down here. I mean, this is all Jersey Transit owned trackage, you know what I mean? Okay, this is ready to go to Allegheny. The garbage flats are from JR, I believe. They might have come with the waste core map. Or they might be separate, but they were on JR, yeah, for sure. All right, so this string of cars can go to Highland, so maybe we'll do that. How many do I have? I haven't, like, fully seeded this route yet, so I only have, like, a handful of equipment up here. I feel like somebody was working on the coastline at some point. Do I have an engine down here? I might need to spawn in some engines because I haven't... Yeah, let's do that. So let's see. I can make a big train here and we could send it as AI over to Allegheny with the garbage flats and then this cut of cars. It'd be a pretty big sized train. Yeah, let's do that. We got time. What is this? This GP38. All right, let me go back into Surveyor. Let's just do a couple of these guys. So we'll use this. We'll just use 2. Well, I don't want to delete it, actually. Let me just move this guy over here. Yeah, I haven't fully populated this route with equipment yet, excuse me. So, still working through that. And let's see, we've got the... I need the SD... What are they? SD45s or SD50s or something? PBSD45. So we'll use these. Let's get 3 of them. So we'll use these to take that consist down to Allegheny, and then we'll use the GP38s to make our run down to Highland. All right, let me think about how I want to do this. We'll take this. So yeah, we'll take those 2 cuts of cars. The garbage cars are going to be going all the way out to Junietta, but we can get them to Allegheny to switch them into a Junietta train for next time. I think I can turn the commodities off now. Where is that? So let's get up into the yard, and what we'll do is we'll grab this cut of cars and we'll stick it on the back of that. What are my PC specs? Absolutely legendary. I've got an i9 1400K. What is it? The 14,900? Whatever the latest i9 is. The 14th gen i9. I can't remember. I think it's the... I don't have it next to me. 14,900, I think. I've got 128 gigs of RAM, and I've got a RTX 4090 graphics card. So I really built this machine pretty ridiculous, and it's all liquid cooled too. So yeah, I mean I do this for a living, so I invested a lot of money into it. Any plans on making SD40-2s or wide cab locomotives? You know, reskinning isn't really my thing. You know, it's not... Where are these going? Why are these here? Hang on, let me think. These... Yeah, they don't belong here. You know, it's... Reskinning is really not my thing, and... I don't have access to any of these, you know, like reskin kits or anything like that. So I don't really have any plan to do any reskins. I don't have any plan to do anything else roster wise, to be honest with you. If I had my own equipment that I could host on my own website, then I would do it. Like the RS11s, you know, Ace was really kind enough to allow me to host those. That's his model, and he even did the reskin. So yeah, I mean, if I could somehow get my hands on some meshes that I could have myself, that would be fine. Favorite steam locomotive? I don't have any. I'm not a steam engine guy. I feel like I get asked that question all the time, and steam engines just don't do anything for me. So no, I don't have any, I don't have a favorite steam engine. Make sure these are all closed. Okay. I mean, I could say my favorite diesel would probably be like RS1 or any of the RS units. RS1, RS2, RS3. That's probably my favorite. I like switchers also. I like the S1s. Almost any switcher I'm a fan of. But I always tell people this, like I'm really not like a nuts and bolts guy when it comes to this kind of stuff. I know very, very little about these things. So what we'll do is we'll tack this cut onto the back of the garbage flats, and I don't think we're gonna have room to do it on this track. We're gonna have to put it on one of these, and then we'll run around it and we'll take it down. We'll send it as an AI train out to Allegheny. This is my Pennsylvania and Berwind route. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, come on, dude. Yeah, this is my P&B route. Excuse me. And if you're interested in getting a copy of it, it is available on my website. But I probably shouldn't be promoting that on the N3V stream, but I just figured I'd mention it. Have I looked at the industry since the JR multi-industry update? I have not, and I also have not downloaded the new version yet, so that's going to be a problem for future, Joe. Like, I think once I get started on version 3 of the route and I start rebuilding some of the industries and doing that sort of thing, then I'll cross that bridge there. But I'm not going to do that in the interim. I'm just going to kind of leave it how it is. But yeah, I have not looked at it at all or anything like that. I only know what I've seen like on the forum posts and what anybody else has talked about. All right. Yeah, me too. Why are we not moving? All right, so we're going to drag this onto probably this track here, and then we'll run around it and send him on his way. And then we'll grab the 2 GP38s, we'll jump on this train, and we'll bring it up to Highland. And we'll see where time takes us at that point. Not that I'm on any... not that I have to end the stream at 2 hours. That's just usually my personal limit where I'm like, all right, that's enough. My throat hurts from talking. Whatever else. We want to stay on the main line. All right, there we go. I love how the AI traffic just, some of these guys stop, and then some people are just like, yeah, no, we're gonna clip through everybody. Forget physics. This might be the longest train that I will have run at all on this map. I think a fast clock on this route would be pretty good too, but I haven't figured out what the time ratio would be. I don't want it to be like too fast, you know? Too quick, but I feel like the trip from Grafton to Allegheny should be, you know, within one shift. Like, you shouldn't be able to drive from Grafton to Juniata, which is across the entire map, in one shift. Like, that's too far. Let's go into the drone view. I like the drone view. Probably my favorite camera setup. I do wish there was like a first person, like a way to operate in the game in first person view. That's something that I would love to see eventually in the game. All right, guy, just go ahead. Sheesh. Nobody's got any courtesy around here. But like a proper like first person walk cam, you know, sort of like you see in Train Sim World, where you can kind of walk, go uncouple cars or throw the switches and stuff like that. Like I feel like that would be a pretty cool addition. Like you can kind of fudge it like I'm doing right now, but it's not quite the same. Should we clear the crossing and let people go through? Let's do that. Let the gates go up. There we go. All right, guys, go on your way. Tailgater, look at that guy. Jeez. How rude, man. The people of Grafton are just so rude. All right, let me make sure my switches are lined correctly, since I am absolutely notorious for switching things incorrectly. That's correct. That's good. That's good. All right. Let's let our tire pressure build up. All right, and away we go. Especially for multiplayer would be really cool. Like if you had like somebody playing the conductor, you know, had to go out and maybe flag this crossing or something like that. It would be pretty neat. Doppler effect being reworked. Yeah. I could see that too. I feel like that was introduced a long time ago, like a decade ago. Yeah, this might be the longest P&B train I've run on here yet. Usually keep the car count to like maybe 30 cars or so. There's just not a need for like absolute monster trains, but this is almost like a what do you call it? Not PTC. What's the term I'm looking for? Oh, you know what? I want to zoom in a little bit. What is the field of view? I usually like around 50, I think. Or no, maybe not. Maybe it's not that way. Oh, maybe it is, right? Let's get to the rear of our train here. PSR, that's what I was looking for. This is like a PSR train right here. Got your garbage loads, and then this other like local set of cars. Yeah, yeah, okay, you guys in the chat said the same thing at the same time as my brain kicked in. Which button to shortcut the zone? Yeah, you gotta program it. I set mine to the asterisk on my number pad. But yeah, you have to set it yourself. Yeah, so like I was saying with HD, like I've got this ditch here you know, once I can come in here with HD terrain, I could clean this up really good, you know, and make this look a much, much better. Nice. Yeah, I don't... This is supposed to be the 1990s. I have no intention of running PSR trains. Thank you. All right, we're pretty much... I think I just really need to clear the crossing. And then I've got room to run around. Yeah. It's about all I'm going to have the space for anyway. I'm going to try to tell the AI to run around and see what happens. We'll see. Like, I want it to... I'm going to give the AI commands, and we'll see if it'll do that while we grab the GP38s and connect up to our local here. Pretty much at our limit here. Are we gonna stop in time so we don't run the red signals? All right, so let me see if I really don't do AI enough anymore. So let's see if I can remember to do this. I think we switch this, or to this, to this. Let's do... I might, do I have the... Where does... Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I might not have the command installed. All right, so he's gonna run around that train, and then I want him to go... to navigate to... I kind of miss having the map view where... Oh, I don't even have the train selected right now, but that's all right. Like, I have to actually navigate to this spot. I can't just look at it on a map anymore. I don't love that. I miss the old mini-map. All right, let's have him... I don't have any arrival departure tracks, which is a major flaw of this design, which I'm working to address as we speak. All right, we're going to have him go to 400 Allegheny West Yard Track. I'm just going to take a picture of this with my phone. All right, great. And then I can remember where I'm going. I have to go back and select my train. Or is it because there's no... So how would the AI be doing this without an engineer? Where is this guy? Oh, and he, of course, is going the way that I did not want him to go. Thanks, guy. All right, navigate to track mark. Let's see, 400 Allegheny West. 400. I sure made this confusing, didn't I? Yard track 9 West. 400 Allegheny, that's east. So it's on this next one. 400 Allegheny West. Yard track 9 West. All right. Godspeed, GP40 or SD45s or whatever you are. We're going to take this GP38s for a spin. And let's see. Which one of you is the front? Let's get you out. You run CSX on the P&B. Yeah, I used to run CSX on the P&B. The thing that's nice about the P&B is that you could pretty much run anything on it. Oh, okay. PSR existed back in the day. All right, let's get this guy coupled up to our local, and let's get him up there. When I first ran the CSX on the P&B, this didn't exist. Like these engines didn't exist, so I just imagined it as just a CSX route, I guess. The entire P&B paint scheme was not developed entirely, but one of the fans of my video sent me a screenshot of a P&B like SW15 or some sort of a switcher. It was something that they had skinned up on their own as like a suggestion, and I loved it. And it sort of matched a photo that Bill M sent me from an area that was, you know, the real P&B, and I loved it, so we kind of ran with it. But this was in no way, even the logo on the side here, somebody on the Trainz forums page made that for me. Like, I'm so bad with paint schemes and like design when it comes to that sort of thing. So I guess I don't want to say I outsourced it because I didn't ask anybody for it necessarily, but you know, some fans came up with some ideas, and this is what I got. So P&B RDCs, that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind something like that. What are we getting? A red signal here? Okay, you're clear to go through it. I don't care. We're going into the yard. Of course we're gonna have a red signal. Oh, I have such a headache. My goodness. Okay, looks good. So yeah, I guess we'll just take the yard ladder up. Let's see how our other guy's doing. Did he make it? He's getting there. Which one of us will be out of the yard first? Let's see. Will I bring back the community route showcase videos? You know, that was never really gonna be a thing necessarily. It's just like every once in a while I came across a route that I was like, oh, this is just too good not to share with everybody. But I guess part of the issue is that I haven't really had time to just explore other people's work lately. Like back then I was younger and had more free time. I don't have that luxury so much anymore. But I mean, if people have suggestions and would like me to do something like that on my channel, I'm not against it. It kind of felt like I wasn't sure if it was really benefiting anybody. But I can, if people want to suggest some routes and stuff, yeah, I can do some more showcases. I just haven't had time. If you look at my channel, like I did like 4 videos last year, and I think I've done like 4 videos this year. You know, I don't have the kind of time that I used to have to just hammer out videos constantly. So when I do, I want to, you know, make sure that it's quality work and that it's good. But yeah, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to just like surf through other people's routes and kind of see like what's good. If I come across something good, I usually try to tell the rest of the N3V team so they could put it in the newsletter. Like there was that one route, the Mohawk Industrial route. The Mohawk Industrial something. And hey, look at that, he's moving. You know, that's one that I probably could have showcased in one of those videos. But instead, because I didn't have the time to make a video on it, I told Paul and they put it in the newspaper, in the newsletter. So, you know, stuff like that, if I could kind of get it out in a different way, I think that there's, you know, it's a good way to do it too. All right, so we are on the 3rd track here. Man, this yard is probably way bigger than it needs to be, huh? Oh, this dude is going to run so slow because he's going to have to... He's looking at the signals. He's going to have to switch. He's going to have to make switches. All right, there he goes. Yeah, that was a great route. I mean, even my computer kind of... when we're done here, I'll load it up. But even my computer struggled a little bit with it. So hopefully you can run it. I mean, you might have to turn down some graphics settings to be able to get any kind of performance out of it. Alright, I think this is the track we gotta get on. Yep. Let's switch the facing here while we're at it. And we'll back in. And we'll hope that this guy puts enough distance between us and him in the, in the next couple of minutes to, so we can actually get down to Highland. Otherwise, we're going to be running in restricted speed the whole way. Oh man, you rewatch the whole thing? Don't watch the early episodes. Those are awful. Terrible. But I'm glad you guys enjoy them. I mean, that's... I won't complain about that, the extra views. That's fine. It keeps my channel alive, so... And if it's quality content, your guys' vision or your opinion, then that's good. Then my job is complete. I'm happy about that. Oh, okay. He wanted to cut all the way over to the main track. Couldn't just, you know, go up to here. All right, whatever. That's fine. Maybe we don't even need that. This crossover might not even be necessary now that I'm thinking about it, but, you know, whatever. It's there. Do I think the DBEV in 2024 would still exist, independent or part of Watco or G&W? You know, it's funny you say that, because that is one of the other projects that I sort of have on my docket, is to update, to do a modern version of the DBEV. And in my opinion, I think it would still exist. I'd like to think that it would still exist as its own short line. You know, maybe that wouldn't be true. Maybe it would be part of like the G&W, but I like to imagine it as still being its own thing, because they've got that tourist operation. If nothing else, maybe it would just be the tourist operation and the G&W would do the freight part of it. But, you know, in my fantasy land, they continued to expand westward and open up some more industries to the west, as well as to the east in the downtown area. So, you know, I like to think that the business picked up a little bit, that they're still kind of struggling, but they're hanging on and things aren't terrible, you know? So that's the way I like to think about it. So in reality, it would probably be a rail trail. In actual reality, in real life 2024, it would probably quickly be a full-blown rail trail. As is a good portion of the prototype in today's, you know, today's world. Sadly. Although I do, as much as I wanted to see the Catskill Mountain Branch actually be fully, you know, active rail service, I don't think that that was ever realistically going to happen, and I'm kind of happy with the section that is a rail trail. It is nice. It is a nice trail, and I use it when I'm in town, and my parents use it. My parents are in their mid-60s, you know, so at least it's getting used. It's a corridor that's being used, you know. That's really what's important, I think. Where this is going, yeah. Wait, am I doing this right? This goes to Horner's is in Highland. They do take scrap, right? Yeah. Sometimes I forget what industries do what on this route. I'm like, wait, does this receive scrap or does this ship it out? Now, CSX would want nothing to do with the DBEV. Nothing. I mean, when Conrail was formed on the real life prototype in the 70s, that was the first thing they did. They were like, Catskill Mountain Branch, done. They don't want anything to do with it. And then a few years ago, probably maybe 10 or 15 years ago, the Catskill Mountain Railroad approached CSX about opening up the interchange again so that they could actually interchange with CSX. The CSX was like, hell no, we want nothing to do with you. No, we're good. So manual driving is boring, I know. Mainline driving, not my thing. All right, so we're probably going to be tailing that freight, but that's okay. We could even AI this one to get us to Highland and go do something else. That's what I like about, you know, P&B is it's AI functional. Let's see, we need to get onto this track and we can, whoops, we can stay on here. Let's see, I mean, the speed limit is pretty high here, so he should be moving pretty quick. Yeah, he's going. Yeah, CSX definitely doesn't want anything to do with the DBEV, I can tell you that. There's no money. No money there. All right, so we'll get up to this next signal, and then we're going to stop, and then we'll program this to do AI to get up to Highland, and while he's running up there, we can go do something else for a few minutes and then jump back over. I think once we get to Highland, all I want to do is switch these into Horners, and then I'm probably going to call it quits there. So we're already at the 2-hour mark right now, and my coffee is getting low. So that's usually my sign to wrap things up. But it stinks because sometimes, like, once I get into operating, I'm like, this is fun. This is what I want to be doing. I should have been doing this the whole time. Oops. Oh, I hate that it resets my... There we go. My field of view. Let's see. If we set this... Yeah, so we got a red signal until... Pretty much until that train gets through Highland. Because the next signal is at the power lines, I think. Which he's probably just about to pass. Yep. I think there's a signal here, right? Yeah, so that'll give us a yellow signal. And then the next signal is actually in Highland, so... Yeah, he's definitely moving. That's good. It's always good to see trains moving on the P&B. I really don't operate often, so it's really nice when I do. really need to sort of get into more of some kind of a habit of operating like once a month or something. I always say that, and then I'm really bad at following through. All right, let's check on this guy. Where are we? Coming up. All right, so let's stop her here. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to do it. Do a little surveyor and then do a little operating session. Keeps things interesting. Variety is the spice of life, right? So let's see. We're going to want to go... We're going to want to go 100. Oh, man, I can't read this. Navigate to track mark 100 Highland Industries 2 West. 100 Highland Industries 2 West, right? Is that where I want to go? Oh, no, I don't want to go there because that's the runaround. 100 Highland Industries West. Yeah. Or do we want to go onto the siding? 100 Highland Main Track 2 West. Why don't we go there? 100 Highland Main Track 2 West. Okay. Take it away, Tasha. Take it away. Just don't go too slow, huh? All right, what else in the meantime can we do? We've got a couple of engines here. Or, you know what? Let's go down to Highland and just take a look at what even is going on down here, because I don't even know. So there's two industries that I've never, like, fully sat down and done an operating session on. One is the brewery. I've never done a full-on brewery op session. I've heard from a couple people that if you're going to do a full switching session on here, it takes like a good couple of hours to switch it out. I've also never fully switched out the paper mill, so I don't even know how long that takes. But this doesn't appear to have any cars in it aside from those tank cars. So I don't know if they're loaded or unloaded. What do you got? Anything? You are empty. So I'm assuming these probably all are. Yeah. Okay. So those can get pulled. These... What happened here? I must have moved something. Or I must have done something stupid. I don't know what I did there. So yeah, I guess once we get up here, we'll pull these cars out and we'll shove in the scrap metal cars and then we'll call it quits there. And that'll probably put us at it'll probably take about 30 minutes, maybe. I do want to see this train come through Highland, not gonna lie. Like I said, it's not often that I operate, so I don't ever really get to see trains just running on this thing. Years of hard work, and I barely ever enjoy the fruits of my labor. Let's try to get ahead of them. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, I always say this, maybe in the new year I'll try to get on like a 1 month, I'll do a public live stream on my channel, and we'll do like an operating session or something like that. I don't know. It's tough, you know, like I want to do these things, and then the time comes and I'm like, ugh, I don't have this free time. Not only that, but like I just spend so much time at the computer as it is, that it's hard to want to spend my free time on the computer longer. All right, anyway. Making excuses. I love Highland, man. This is one of my favorite cities, city edges. I don't know. I love how it turned out. Howdy, howdy. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I haven't used the multi-industry 2 yet. I will have to check it out. Maybe if I can remember, if I learn enough about it, maybe I'll do a video on it, but a tutorial or something. But again, I don't know. I tend to overpromise and underdeliver lately. Oops. I hit the number 2. I meant to hit 4. All right, whatever. We're back up here with Tasha. How we doing? 22 out of 35 miles an hour. We just, like, got out of the yard. Oh, man. You got to pick up some speed, girl. All right, we'll check back on her. What else can we do in the meantime? We could probably sort this a little bit. Why not? We'll do a little yard switching. We'll just use these guys. We'll check back on Tasha in 5 minutes and see where she's at. Yeah, Scratchy's Coal Country version 2 is very nice. I've seen it in person. I've seen it myself. It's very cool. He's doing a really nice job. He's definitely one of the best route builders out there, I think, of this time. I think you guys you're gonna really enjoy it. There's a lot more to do. I haven't run anything on it, but I've flown around it, and there's just a whole lot more going on there. I think it's going to be a very popular route, for sure. Howdy, howdy. Welcome to the stream. How many people we got watching? It says 21. That's cool. We got to get these streams a little bigger. We got to get like a couple hundred people watching. I don't think this tells me how many people are watching on Steam, but... Oh yeah, I guess I should mention again, if you haven't already, go check out Steam. We've got some sales going on. Trainz Plus is on sale, as well as Trainz 22. Trainz 22, I believe, is 80% off right now through Steam. I think that this is a daily deal. I think it's only for today, or for the next 24 hours. So if you're considering upgrading to Trainz 22, now might be the time to do it. So definitely go check it out, take a look. $8 for the game. I think it was like $8 or $9. Like, that's pretty sweet deal. What are we doing right now? We're just doing a little bit of an ops session on my P&B route. We're gonna switch out some cars here. We'll just organize these by industry real quick. We're waiting for another train to get to some industries that we're gonna switch out, and then I'm gonna call it quits. I've been streaming now for 2 hours. And I'm already starting to feel my voice. You can probably hear my voice is starting to get raspy. It's tough to talk for 2 hours straight, you know? All right, let's see. We've got... Let me turn the commodities on so I don't have to keep clicking into them. These are empty. I got to remember what goes where. We'll Let's just block these out. We'll take that. Put all the center beams in one spot. Switch that back. This is an awful lot of center beams for this little industry that's up here. That takes like 2 center beams at a time. It's like, where is he? Grafton lumber supply. This is it. You can fit 3 lumber cars in there. Why didn't these unload? They should have unloaded by now. I'll have to look into that. Is it full? I bet you it's full. Is this the industry? No. I'll have to look at what the industry says. Let me get to a place where I can do that without derailing. So we'll just use these 2 tracks. We'll just group up the center beams. They're going to go into one spot, and then these hoppers are going to a different location. This goes to a different location. I have no idea where the box cars are going. I can't remember. By the time we even make any progress on this, Tasha might be up in Highland, so we'll just jump back over there. Because that's really what I want to switch, is up in Highland. Comes another Jersey Transit train into outside of my window. You guys will hear it. Let's see, we're gonna just leave the box cars off on this track. Group up our center beams, group up the box cars. Yeah. So there's a few industries here that they're all basically their own job almost. Their own switch job. You know, there's so much going on up here in Grafton. Grain cars are gonna go to here. And then you've got the steel beam and the brick loads go over here. Center beam goes over here, so this could be one job. So we can group those together. We just want to block them out, but we're not even going to get that far. We're not going to do too much more. Be cool to be able to kick cars a little bit better, but I feel like I would just end up having like a runaway. That would be my luck. Come on. When can you make an Amtrak Avelia Liberty Cafe car? When can I make it? I don't do rolling stock. Not my thing. It's probably getting dark in here, isn't it? I gotta maybe turn my light on. Yeah, that helps. Sun is going down now. So let me back these back onto this track. So we've got our center beams grouped together, and then I'm going to go check on that other AI train, see where she's at. And then we'll switch down there quick, and that'll probably do it. How does this time of day work out for you guys as far as the live stream goes on a Saturday? So what time did I start at? I started at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So that's kind of like 11 a.m. for the West Coast. And then that would be, what, about 6 p.m. for Europe? So I feel like that's kind of a sweet spot, but I'm just curious what you guys think, if that works. Like, going forward for other streams, you know, if I want to do some more. I can't always guarantee I'm going to do them on a weekend. That's the thing. But it's always good for me to know these things. When am I going to hit the biggest demographic, you know? Cool. Especially in the wintertime, like a Saturday in the wintertime. If you're in the US or the Northern Hemisphere, it's you're not doing much. Probably home, drinking hot coffee or hot cocoa, staying out of the snow, staying warm. Man, a lot of lumber here. I wonder why I did that. Why did I send so much lumber up here? But I often kind of think, like, maybe the lumber, because that lumber yard can only take 3 center beams at a time. I wonder if there would be an off spot that they could unload from, you know, like overflow cars. Let me take a look at that in a second. Let me couple up. So I never really thought about that until just now. I like off spots. I think they're pretty cool. Add some operational flavor. All right, let's just hold that there for a moment. Let's see. So if they unload 3 cars here, you know, conceivably, if you left, maybe not. I was gonna say we could leave like a cut of cars here and they could unload them out of this parking lot here, but I don't really know where else you could leave them. I have to think about that. Or I guess if you just dragged them over here and spotted them here so that they were out of the yard and then you could easily just switch them out real quick. That might be something to think about. All right, let's see what Tasha's up to. Did she make it to Highland yet? I think she did. Okay, Tasha is in Highland. Great. Well, she's just arriving. All right, cool. So we'll do that switching maneuver quick, and I just want to make sure our other guy is on the move. Edgar Wood is still sitting there, and where we go. J.R. Mick, he is well on his way, so that's good. Did I switch this back? Oh, of course it's locked. All right, whatever. Not worried about that. All right, so again, I haven't really done a whole lot of switching up here, so I don't even know what exactly the best maneuver is. I know we're going to have to cross the main. And I don't even know if we have adequate runaround space here on that little siding to do what we need to do. Trying to think what the best way to switch this out is going to be. Probably want to run around these scrap cars, get on the back end of them. Kind of use them as a handler, maybe. I don't even know. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that might be the way to do it. We'll run around the scrap guns. Use them as handler cars, pull all of the empties out, and then we can stage the empties on the main, shove the loads in, come back out, grab the empties, deposit them up here for when we're ready to go outbound. Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. I probably should have. Let's do this. So she stopped on right on the trigger or the marker or whatever, track mark. But I want to back up so we're not fouling this crossing or this this turnout here. I think, did I have enough space here? Yeah, I do. Kind of maybe utilize this track here. We'll stop the train here. Stop that there. Is that, do I have enough space? I might have enough space. 1, 2, 3. Man. This is like one of those situations where it might be one car too many to really get on there. I'm going to try it. You know, why not? I'm like eyeballing it here. It might be just enough to fit on that track. If not, then we'll just use the hand of God to move it to a different track. We'll try something else. I don't have time for that, you know. Lengthening this might be something worth doing in P&B version 3 also. I don't know. Well, I got the brake on. That's why we're not moving. 'I really love gondolas, man. Like the low gondolas and the high side gondolas. Definitely one of my favorite cars. Scrap gons. I can turn off the commodities now. Uh, 2050. I think a 2050 should be plenty, yeah. I think I was running it with a 1080 before I got my my 4090, and it was running fine. This is not in multiplayer, no, unfortunately. I wish. One day it will be. But no, not right now. This route was made. It was born for multiplayer. I'm telling you. So my goal is to get it into multiplayer eventually. It's just going to be a little ways off, I think, before I can get it there. What settings was I running with the 1080? Oh, man. Probably medium settings. I'm not sure. I had an i7 7700K. Yeah, that's what I was running. And that worked pretty good. I got some pretty good frame rates. So if you go back to my videos... When did I upgrade? I'm trying to think here. Like, if you go back to my videos like 2 years ago... What was I running just before this? Yeah, about 2 years ago, I was still running the 1080 and the i7. I upgraded to this machine a little over a year and a half ago. So, oh yes, we've got enough room. Sweet. All right, the gamble paid off then. Yeah, so probably just had everything set to... I had some stuff set to ultra, I know that, and I probably had the bulk of it set to just medium settings. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get in here, we're going to grab the empties, use those as a handler car, and then shove all of our loads in. That's how I'm going to do it. And then I got to call it quits because I'm going way over time here, and I got to go make dinner soon. Yeah, you should have some pretty good luck with the 2050. I've tested Trainz Plus with a 3050, and it runs pretty good. So I think that's what I have. Is it? I had a 3050. I was testing it recently to check some do some bug testing, some hardware testing, and that worked out pretty all right. I think I was running this route. I don't even think I changed any of the settings, to be honest with you, and I've got everything maxed out on here right now. What is that? What is that emoji? Is that a beer? I can't. Oh, it's a bee. It's so small on the chat screen here. All right, let's start. We'll grab that. I don't know if this crossing works. I'm not sure. I think it does. Yeah. Yeah, multiplayer's still got a little ways to go. It's getting there, though. I've been doing some work on a map in multiplayer. I'm going to derail here, I know it. I'm right all the way at the edge of the track here. Why? Why is it got to be so close? This is not where I do well. I do not perform well like this. I don't know, Tim. I'm noticing that right now. That nothing seems to be loading or unloading. So I don't know. Maybe some script broke somewhere in there. I'll have to look into it. All right, managed to not derail that somehow. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't have any of the script errors turned on right now to see what's going on. But I would imagine that it's maybe something changed on in a script somewhere. Yeah, it could have something to do with the sessions. Maybe the sessions need to be refreshed or something. I don't know. It's what drives me nuts, man, about trying to like program a route or like these industries to like work properly. Like I just want it to be able to like park the cars and let them load or unload, and that's that. It shouldn't be so complicated. It's definitely a pain. Might need to like do like a save as, you know, and resave the session or something like that. I don't know. I feel like this is one of those industries that if this was real life, it probably wouldn't be allowed to exist anymore. It's like this scrap industry right in the middle of like the main downtown area. They would be trying to put this guy out of business so fast. Thanks, Danny W. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoy it. That's what I like to hear. All right, so we'll just shove in this cut of cars. Might just put them all on this one track. No need to split it up. And then I gotta call it quits. I gotta run. Even though I'm having fun, but got other things I gotta do. Oh, we're speeding. Oh no. This is like one of those spots like in real life that I would love to watch get switched out, because it just feels like it's old and, you know, it shouldn't be here, or, you know, like it's just that the city kind of grew around, you know, this old piece of infrastructure. I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. That's why I built it. I probably need to switch this junction up ahead, don't I? That's it for the coffee, which probably is for the best. It's almost 5 o'clock. Shouldn't be drinking coffee this late. All right, we'll hook onto here, and we'll just shove on in, and we'll call it a day. Pretend we're the conductor here, or one of the brakemen. JR Mick was waiting for clearance, so he can't get into the yard for some reason. That's all right. As long as he made it down that way, I could take care of it later. So wait, we should count how many cars. I should look. How many cars can fit into this siding, because I've never looked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we'll say 12 can fit on the main track. So I'm never gonna remember that, but I'll pretend like I'm gonna. That's good to know for doing this sort of thing. Let's see, we gotta go that way. Or did it change the facing? Okay, no, we're good. All right, we shove these in. Come on, stop. All right. Stopped enough. Just throw it in the other direction. No, I didn't want to go reverse. I have to go forward. Jeez. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Hey, how's it going? Must be Sunday morning there, I would imagine. You guys are 15 hours ahead. According to my watch, it's 8 a.m. in I think Brisbane is what my watch is set for. I'll be wrapping things up pretty soon, though, unfortunately. I'm just gonna drop this cut off on the main siding here, and I don't have time to like reconnect this whole train up, so we're gonna pretty much just pull forward. I'll leave the main clear, and we'll just call it quits there. Saving as a new session and reloading the game fixed the loading unloading issue. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess it just needed to be refreshed, the script. $9 a.m. on Sunday. Oh, man. I think we should be able to get that whole string of cars. Should be pretty good through here. I don't think we need to split it up. I think the only reason to split up the... Oh yeah, probably the type of commodity that it unloads. I don't remember how I have this set up in terms of which scrap gets unloaded where. It might be all of them on any track. I can't remember. But I'm not going to worry about that now. A lot of times what I end up doing anyway is going into Surveyor and I'm like, okay, it's unloaded, and then I'll just unload it. You know, most of the time I'm not waiting for the industry to actually load or unload anything. If I want to switch it out, I'm just going to do it. I always say, I run this more like a model railroad than anything else. All right, let's get ourselves down here. Try my hardest not to derail this. I've done so good. I've been driving for, I don't know, like, what, an hour, 2 hours almost? I haven't derailed anything yet, so it could be a new record if I make it. Big if. Could run right off the end of this track right now. I don't even know if this would be really a kosher move to do. You've got all these empty gondolas here that I'm pushing, and then these loaded gondolas here. I kind of feel like this might buckle in real life, but I don't know. All right, let's call it good here. Put the brakes on. Okay, yeah, whatever. That looks adequate. We'll call it good. All right, I'm just going to pull forward just enough to get us up to here. Probably not going to clear the crossing, but I got to go. So we're going to quit out there. We're just going to pull up ahead. Maybe we will clear the crossing. I don't know. It's hard to say. What control system is that on the bottom right of the screen? This down here, this is the regular cab controls. So you can switch between DCC, AI, and cab controls. So that's what I'm running here. Like realistic mode. All right, I'm just gonna pull up to about here. I'm gonna close that. Close that, and that's straight. Kind of hoping that we're not going to clear this, are we? Maybe we will clear the crossing. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Kind of wanted to leave the main line open, but yeah, we're good. Wow, look at all the traffic that backed up there. All right, I'm gonna just tie it down here for now, and then whenever the next time is that I run an operating session, I'll finish switching everything here, but this is where I'm gonna leave it for now. So we'll wrap things up here. So again, if you guys are looking to get Trainz 2022, that's what this is. Actually, this is Trainz Plus, but it's the same game. It is on sale right now on Steam for 80% off. I believe there's a discount on the Trainz Plus subscription as well, which is a monthly subscription. So there's a discount on that. So check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, if you want to buy Trainz 22, it is 80% off. I think it's like $8. So you can't beat that if you're looking to convert, if you're using Trainz 2019 and you want to move up to the latest and greatest, which is what I've been playing in all day today. So that sale, I think, is just for today. I think it's just a 24-hour sale. So go check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, that's going to do it for me for today, guys. I'm hoping to maybe do some live streams on my own channel before the end of the year. So keep an eye out for that. I don't know if I'll do another one here on N3V's channel before the end of the year, but if I don't, I hope you guys have a happy new year and happy holidays and all that stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed.